Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Up next, Ravens versus Steelers. Keys to victory. Let's talk. Well, it's game day. All the commentary, all the predictions, all of the what should and what shouldn't happen, all of the injury reports, they're all in, and all of that's going to come to an end today at around 4 o'clock. And these teams are going to have to line up and face off and see who gets the job done. There is a swelling perspective that the Baltimore Ravens should win this game, and that if the Ravens don't win this game, it could be detrimental for the psyche of Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. So we have to talk about keys to victory. I think that there are several keys for this game. Let's start on the defense side of the ball. Although the offense is more sexy, it's a more sexy conversation. Let's start defensively, right? We understand that the Pittsburgh Steelers will be without George Pickens, okay? But we can't forget about that they do have a 6'6" tight end who has 4.4 speed in Washington. We can't forget about that they have a really good tight end in Pat Freiermuth, who has an ability to get into the seams. He has the ability to stretch the field a little bit, and he can make some plays, okay? We can't forget about that they can and will throw the ball out of the backfield, and they will line up and run it right at you. So I'm not really down with the perspective that the Baltimore Ravens defense should shut this offense down. These are men trying to move men against their own will. And so it's going to be competitive. But I do think defensively, the Baltimore Ravens should do at least the same level of job they did back in week 11. So the first key to victory is going to be stop the run. Because the Pittsburgh Steelers will be without one of their wide receivers, they're going to make a real effort to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball some more, so that sets up the better play action plays. I think you're even going to see some called runs for Russell Wilson, who does have some mobility left in those legs. So we have to be who we've been most of the season and have an ability to stop the run. This cannot be the game where we allow a 100-yard rusher. It can't be that type of party today. Madubuike, Pierce, Washington, Travis Jones, they need to be the studs that we know they can be. So the key number one is to stop the run to the point of playing on the other side of the field. We have to make the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line feel us. In fact, we need to be so dominant that they have to change what they do offensively when it comes to trying to run the ball, at least between the tackles. So that's number one. The number two key defensively is to make sure we're in the right place and right time on the back end. Russell Wilson has been known to do what's called throwing the moon ball. That's where he just lofts it up and it just seems to come down in the right place at time. Well, defensively, this has to be the day where we keep everything in front of us. They do not have really another guy who can stretch the field, quote unquote, take the top off the defense. And so it should be a more manageable task to keep everything in front and hit everything that moves in front of us. I think if we can avoid giving up the deep pass, keeping everything between 5 and 10, I think we have a chance to limit what they're going to do offensively. They don't have any tricks up their sleeve. They don't have anything they're going to pull out that we haven't seen, including Justin Fields being out. So there's not even that play where he comes in and he just takes on the ball. That's why I say Russell Wilson will run the ball some this evening, and so we'll have to be prepared for that. But I think if we can do those first two keys defensively, everything else is going to be simple. Key number three is a defensive key. Bring Russell Wilson to the ground. If our interior defensive line can give a push, he's typically going to escape that pocket. He does have that ability. And because of his size, he's only about 5'11". Because of that size, he's going to have to relocate and set up in order to get the ball where he needs it to go. And so we need to be disciplined on our edge. And when he's in our grasp, bring him to the ground, just like we did back in week 11. I think we ended up with 4 sacks in that game. Odafe Oweh, I think, had 3 of those sacks. Now, I know he's dealing with some type of I think ankle injury or something like that. But then there's still Tavius Robinson. There's still Calvin Noy. We saw a David Ajabo sighting last week. And so I think some of those other guys need to step up, but bring the guy to the ground so he doesn't get those passes off and they end up somewhere that they shouldn't have ended up in the context of touchdowns and long completions. All right. Let's switch to the offense side of the ball. The first key offensively is run the ball with a level of consistency. This is a tough defensive front, and we have a sometimey offensive line. But I think that if we make an effort to consistently run the ball, right? I'm not saying allow the run to dominate the game. I'm just saying make an effort, keep them honest. And I think even more specific, run it out of an I-type formation where Lamar Jackson is under the center and Derrick Henry can come straight towards the line of scrimmage rather than taking the ball out of the pistol or taking it out of the shotgun. I think that it allows a more effective run game when Lamar is under the center. If you go back and chart the better runs from this year, it's more effective when Lamar Jackson is under center. So I think that make an effort to run the ball. When you saw the Philadelphia Eagles, for an example, running the ball effectively at them last week, you saw Saquon Barkley not trying to juke and jive around the edges, but his most effective runs were right at the line of scrimmage, meaning he was moving north of the line of scrimmage, not east and west. That's key number 1 or key number 4 for the Baltimore Ravens to get a victory. Key number 5, or the second key offensively, is to utilize Isaiah Likely. Isaiah Likely is a tight end, of course, but he has wide receiver skills. He has great speed, he has good hands, and he has a wide catch radius. And this kid just knows how to get open. If you utilize Isaiah Likely, that will allow a bigger target, a guy who has athleticism, to patrol the middle of the field. And that's something he's kind of pretty good at, in fact. I heard some Pittsburgh Steelers commentary yesterday where they were talking about they may take Joey Porter Jr. and put him on Mark Andrews. Well, that's fine, because that means somebody else has to replace him on the outside. That may open things up for Zay, but also that's the purpose for using Isaiah Likely as basically the number 2 wide receiver, right? And so I think that although we're going to have some limitations in personnel today, I think we still have an opportunity to do some things well and be effective offensively. Now, let me add this. I don't know if Rashad Bateman is out, but I do know he was dealing with a foot injury, and those things can be tricky. So he could be available and then still not be effective. So that's why I say use Isaiah Likely. Key number 6, keep it basic. You see, in the game that I showed you guys, the last time Lamar Jackson won against the Pittsburgh Steelers, it was basic. And I think that's what's going to win this game. See, basic means I'm just going to rely on my instincts to do what I'm supposed to do as an offensive lineman, as a running back, as a quarterback, as a wide receiver, as a tight end. Keep it simple, stupid, right? You see, get rid of, don't even put in that play where you're trying to send Zay Flowers on some type of sweep, right? This defense and the linebacking crew, they're too fast. Their defensive edges they're too good, right? And so keep it simple, right? If you're running the ball, run right at them, right? If you're going to run around the edge, give it to your running back, okay? Get rid of those plays that have the potential to be a negative impact, a play that gets a 3-yard loss, because now you're behind the chains and things like that. Get rid of those plays. Keep it basic, right? Make the catches. That's basic, right? Block, basic. Chip blocks, basic. You know what I'm saying? Those are basic principles that I think if we utilize and execute, we win this game. I got 2 bonuses for you guys. Bonus number 1 is Lamar Jackson is going to have to take the running lanes today. I know that he's going to, based on what we saw last week, but I think that him being able to take the running lanes is going to make the defense think versus react. And in football, sometimes you just have to go off reaction. I think that when he drops back, if he hits them a couple of times with, an 8, 9, 10-yard run, now when he drops back, they're going to have to pause to see if he goes, and I think that'll loosen up the coverage. So I think Lamar Jackson will have to take the running lanes. I don't want him really doing a whole lot of RPO stuff. I know that they got off with that, meaning the Eagles got off with that last week against the Steelers, but I want him to come out of this game healthy. And I know we got a game basically in 4 days. So hit those scrambles. If the running lane opens up, take the 7-8 yards, get down. Don't take those hits. Don't try to run through the defender, none of that kind of stuff. That's what you got Derrick Henry, Patrick Ricard, Justice Hill for, to run through defenders. So that's the bonus. And then the second bonus is this. Don't get outcoached. Mike Tomlin owns John Harbaugh. And I think this is one of those games where John Harbaugh has to be at his very best. He has to be at his best decision-making self. You can't challenge a play that's only a 2-yard pickup. We've seen that this year. You can't go for it if it's 4th and 4 and you got a 35-yard field goal. If you say you trust Justin Tucker, you have to take those points. Just don't get out coached. Okay? I think that if we do the basic things, run and hit defensively, catch the ball when it hits our hands, block our assignments, I think we come out of this game smooth with a victory. My score prediction for this game is I believe that Lamar Jackson will have 3 touchdowns. It could be 2 in the air and 1 on the ground, but I think he comes away with 3. I think the Baltimore Ravens score 29 points in total, somewhere around there. I think the Baltimore Ravens win this game 29-19. I know that's an odd score, but this is an odd kind of game. So listen, let me know what you guys want me to know, man. I'll see you guys after the close of the game. I'm your guy, Boulanger. This is the GM, and we're out.